I think there's a definite trend in brands approaching agencies and basically people with digital and technological know-how like ourselves at Unit 9 for help with innovation. I think in our case specifically, what we try to offer brands is access to, essentially Unit 9 represents a very unique pool of talent. Everything from film directors to software engineers to experienced designers and innovation architects, and so it's not the kind of talent you typically see at a brand, and so a lot of brands are trying to engineer innovation as part of their DNA, but at the same time they don't represent these sort of profiles. So what Unit 9 can bring to the table in this instance is access to talent that they don't already have for brainstorming, for product development, for following like a lean methodology in product development. So in the case of William Hill, they approached us initially to basically have a bit of a brainstorming session together about emerging and disruptive technologies. I think again that's one thing that Unit 9 is particularly well versed in. Our heritage is in tech and in the creative realm. So we're very good at engaging storytelling combined with technology. So they sort of came to us, we sat around the table and we looked at all the different technologies that are prevalent right now that are kind of breaking through to the mainstream, including augmented reality, virtual reality, and wearables was another thing that was discussed. And it was just with the aim of sort of giving them a view on the market and seeing what could be applied to their business model, what could actually be applied to essentially develop a new product for their customers. So I think what William Hill are trying to do, which is very interesting, is bring more of an experience culture, more of a kind of a Vegas style entertainment culture to betting. So they're trying to definitely take care of the bettor from the moment that you've placed the bet until you find out whether you've won or lost. They want to make that experience as exciting as possible. And that's where companies like Unit 9 can kind of fit in and to really like flesh out that user experience and make that really rich and rewarding. In this case, in the case of Get in the Race, we settled on virtual reality as probably the most fertile ground for exploration because I think everyone has agreed that it's going to be an important consumer trend. So it's something that it's imperative for William Hill to be on top of. If they want to continue to be relevant in new spaces as they develop, then they need to maintain an interesting presence in these new platforms. So virtuality definitely ticks the box in that regard, but also I think specifically in the case of Get in the Race, virtuality is just able to offer a really rich media experience that isn't available anywhere else at the moment. Haven't seen it applied specifically to the realm of sports betting yet personally, so it's ripe for disruption essentially. It's something that William Hill can bring to the market and they can be the disruptors in this instance rather than chasing after the wave as it's already gone. During the project, I think the challenges that we primarily encountered were to do with managing the data stream that we're getting from the horses. So Get in the Race essentially takes a GPS position from every horse in the race simultaneously, and it feeds that through to our game server, which drives the virtual reality experience for our users. The challenge is that GPS data is not always perfect, and so we had to develop our own very sophisticated algorithms that would essentially, rather than just taking one GPS data point at one time, would take multiple points at different places during the race and average those out to provide like a smooth experience for the user. So essentially that means that all the animations, they operate very, very smoothly. They don't kind of go in a sort of staccato way as the data points kind of jump around all over the place. And it also means that it's very, very accurate. So if a horse wins by a very small margin, we're still able to represent that in the actual virtuality experience.
The purpose behind the Get in the Race app is to utilise some of the emerging technology that hasn't quite become mass market yet. A lot of people are focusing on the watch, which is understandable, but there are some other great devices out there. The Google Cardboard, you can buy it for £8. There's some interesting apps out there, but it's still quite early stage. No one's really worked out how to use VR, low-cost VR, mass-market potential VR for sports betting or games. There's some initial ideas out there. So this prototype was really around how we could utilise early-stage technology to give the customer a completely different experience. In terms of problems it's solved, I guess the main problem is that a lot of betting now is moving away from older style betting products like horse racing into areas like football. And we want to give our customer base a reason to come back and look at horse racing. It's a fantastic product, a great experience going to the racetrack. We're trying to sort of transport the customer there for a very low cost product. And £8 with the right structure, we could give those away to our customers. And all they need is an iPhone or a smartphone to do it. So that's really the reason behind it. when you run innovation, it's less about very short-term ROI. Our job in the William Hill Labs and the Shoreditch, the team and the wider part of the business that works in innovation is to test out proof of concepts. And the old style way of doing that would be to maybe do one a year and it better make a return, and to spend quite a lot of money on doing it. Our model's different. We have this expression that we stole from another company called elephant carpaccio, which is everything we do, we try and do in very, very small slices. So a project like this, we want to find the minimal cost and effort required to test it. We've created this prototype, we did it in 2 or 3 months. We can now put it out to consumer testing. We'll put it in front of real live punters and we'll see what the response is like. We'll then connect it with live data. Again, we'll test it. We'll put it in hidden live. We'll test it with a slightly broader customer base, and so on and so on. We won't actually put it live and test it in ROI in real life until we've gone through all those stages. Our job is to maybe do 8, 9, 10 of these a year and find the one that really is a killer. If you only develop things that you're absolutely certain are going to create an ROI, you'll never do anything. With our customer base and the size we operate at, if this made a very small difference to our betting on horse racing, it would pay for itself 100 times over. So I'm not too worried about the ROI on it. The cost of doing it are actually quite low. Well, in-store's up in the air. We may do in-store. We'll test it in a few of our model shops or our test shops and see what the customer feedback's like. It's not a given at all, nor is even taking this all the way through to full launch. If the feedback's strong, then of course we'll roll it out in a few more stores. The real killer on it is the Google Cardboard, and being able to have a completely different experience to sports betting, from home. It could even be at the races. You could go to Cheltenham, have a terrible view, be in the bar when a race happens, put these on, and have a pretty close experience to what's happening. So even maybe a better experience than sitting or standing somewhere down the track. So that's the idea. We have about 2,500 shops. And it's a huge part of our brand, it's a huge part of our customer equity, and it's the way we communicate with a big part of our base at the moment. It's also really valuable. Customers that visit stores and play on mobile or online are amongst our best customers. So we really want to use that. And if you like, the people that really see and speak and interact with our customers every day are our shop staff. So we're looking all the time about how to interrelate and leverage and maximise the relationship between the store and the online experience. And so, areas where that might work, for instance, like the William Hill card, which Jamie demoed. So we've got a card now where someone could be betting online, they put a bet on their mobile, maybe they're in the pub or having a curry, or they follow the darts, they get some money, they can then go in-store with that card and spend money to actually make a bet in the shop if they want. So that's an area which we're looking at. There are other areas where we're using mobile technology that we've developed on the online side to develop, I can't talk too much about it, but something we're announcing soon, to develop technology that we can actually use in-store. So those two are very important. We're also looking at ways that when VIPs come into store, we can recognise them. So, if one of our big VIPs comes on our site, we know who they are immediately, they get a different experience. Currently, if they walk into the store, they're treated like anybody else. So that's another area where we're thinking about omnichannel all the time, about how we can connect up the two areas of our business. And that's around facial recognition. There's some really good technology coming out on that, and that's something we're working on. I would put up the scale on innovation. Paddy Power's very good at it. I think the danger with businesses like betting and gaming is there's a tendency to rest on your laurels. There's a regulatory hurdle, strong brand awareness for some of the incumbents who've been here for years. But there's a danger with that. If you kind of sit back and rest on your laurels, other people in the technology world, which certain other industries will come and eat your lunch. So I think it's a historic thing. I think we've seen these stages that I mentioned in the talk. Moving from retail, high street to online, P2P betting, online poker, mobile, social. Now the watch. It's going on all the time, and some people, some of our competitors are responding to that, but some just aren't. Some of them are thinking, oh, we'll just be a fast follower. We'll wait and see what works. We'll get round to it. You can't do that and survive. So that's our approach anyway. And also it's about giving the customers the best experience, the most memorable experience that we can, and the most enjoyment they can. And so that we think more about that than we do, okay, well, what's the guaranteed ROI on that? If you give the customers the best possible experience, the ROI will come. So yeah, that's how we approach it.